This is part 3 of my Royal Rumble review for 2019. And like the past two videos, since this is my first time reviewing a WWE pay-per-view, I have my notes out in front of me to help keep my train of thought. And this will probably be the shortest video, because the first match I want to talk about is there was not that many notes that for me to talk about, because I missed this match as well. I had to catch it in a replay, but I did see what happened between Shinsuke and Rusev for the United States title, and it just, I feel so bad for Rusev and Nakamura. Like, WWE has dropped the ball with them, and they need to find something for them to do, which it looks like they were trying to with what happened last night on SmackDown. They are putting them as a temporary tag team against Gallows and Anderson. I just hope they can make something out of this idea, because the more I think about it, the people are safer if you put them in the tag teams, because if you have one main title for both genders, then you have the Intercontinental title, then you have the U.S. title, and then you have both women's titles, and then you have the tag titles for both brands. But if you think about how many people the WWE has compared to how many titles they have, there's just not enough room for everyone on the roster to shine if you just go for the titles. But if you can put more and more people into tag teams, then not only will that benefit the tag team division, it will also help every individual have a moment to shine throughout the year. Uh, Oh, a side note, I am really happy for R-Truth being the new U.S. champion. I just hope that they are actually wanting to do something with him, and not just and that they didn't just do it for shock and awe. And so moving on, we get to the Universal title picture, and that is Brock versus Finn Balor. And I knew Brock was gonna win. It's like there's just no way he can be beat by anyone on the current roster now. A couple days ago, I made a video where I compared Brock to the Martians from War of the Worlds, and that someone from NXT needs to be built up as the Dome that will eventually end his reign of terror. And it's gonna take some time, but that's what you have to do. And in the meantime, we need to have Brock continue steamrolling over the competition. That way, once it's time to finally dethrone him, like, we will have a legitimate champion, one who owned it, and that moment will be one of the most memorable and special moments in WWE history. Now, the WWE, they were billing this match as David versus Goliath, which, in all honesty, it's really getting old. Like, every time you have a really big, strong guy go up against a small, fast guy, the WWE always compares it to David versus Goliath, or a lot of the time they do, and it's getting stale. Like AJ versus Bryan for the championship, this David versus Goliath storyline is just getting really stale. And can we please do something else? Maybe compare big guys versus small guys to some other story. And if you think about it, it a big guy going up against a small guy in terms of, say, Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar is not really David versus Goliath. David versus Goliath, Goliath had no weakness. Okay, he was just a force of nature that could not be stopped. And the reason David beat him in the end is because God intervened and told him what to do. It turns out the only weakness Goliath had was that he was weak, was that he was human. and all David had to do was simply use conventional warfare, I might add, and sling a rock at Goliath's head, and it killed him. Okay, this whole storyline or this whole method that the WWE uses, where the small guy has to find a weakness to defeat Brock, is not David versus Goliath. The David versus Goliath is a small guy going up against Brock Lesnar conventionally and actually finding a way to beat him without finding a weakness. He just takes his fist, his legs, whatever other body part he needs to perform the moves he does, and conventionally beat Brock. That's David versus Goliath. However, what you're really comparing Brock Lesnar to is Achilles from Greek mythology, because Achilles did have a weakness, even if it wasn't always clear, and that's what Brock Lesnar is. He has a weakness that people exploit. The difference is that Achilles was killed in one shot. Brock Lesnar, even though, wrestling's not about killing your opponent, it's about just, defeating them, physically exhausting them to the point that they can't compete anymore. You aren't exploiting Brock's weakness, except for in this one match where his stomach, because he had diverticulitis, became his weakness. The only thing is, Brock has been built up so much to the point that even hitting him where it really hurts him in his stomach is not enough for this David character, since that seems to be what you're comparing it to defeat Goliath. You need something. You need to think of it as the guy who I believe shot the poisoned arrow at Brock or at Achilles be the small guy beating Brock, if you want to go with the weakness storyline. Otherwise, like I said, the David versus Goliath storyline, if that's how you're going to play it out in the end for Brock Lesnar to finally be beaten as champion, you need to have a guy from NXT, whether they be big or small, actually beat Brock conventionally and not through guerrilla warfare. And I will be concluding my Royal Rumble review in the next part.